Good afternoon. Thank you for creating time for us. You are in time for the Lunchtime News. A very warm welcome to the broadcast. My name is Irene Muchuma. On sign language interpretation, we have Byron Abule. It is the 19th day in the month of May 2024. In a matter of time, we're expecting President William Ruto to address members of the press at Harambee House. This ahead of his visit to the United States of America. We have able team on the ground. We'll be crossing over live when the team advises so. But for now, let's interact on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. Our top focus this afternoon, school heads across the country are under instructions to admit learners affected by floods without conditions. Director of Planning at the State Department for Basic Education, Masini Ichwara, says the Ministry of Education is doing everything possible to have all children go back to their respective schools. He said that the emergency kitty promised by President William Ruto will go a long way in helping all learning institutions that were affected by the floods.
Since the onset of the flood crisis in April, the reopening of schools for the second term had to be postponed twice due to the severity of the situation. However, amidst the challenges, efforts are underway to accommodate affected students and maintain the educational momentum.
We've encouraged the heads of institutions not to admit kids with conditions. Let the kids come to school with the uniforms that they have from their previous schools. Let the children come to school just to start learning.
Meanwhile, Kenyans have been urged to be their brothers' keepers following the effects of floods as more people continue to lose property and lives. Joyce Nungari, a resident of Buruburu Farm who decided to house flood victims in her compound, narrates how she was concerned until she decided to turn her home garden to shelter flood victims.
Wakati mvua ilianza kunyesha, nilisikia ndani yangu nikawa na mwito wa kusaidia watu ambao wameathirika. Na huku nilikuwa nimepanda, kulikuwa na ngwashe, kulikuwa na mahindi. Nikasikia ndani yangu sababu sina hiyo space kwangu yenye naweza wapeleka. So niliamua na nikaambia Mungu anisaidie na wasamaria mema wakanisaidia. Tukanunua hizi vitingi za kujenga nyumba.
Joyce urged well-wishers to come on board and give a helping hand to the vulnerable in society.
Kama mtu akona uwezo wa kusaidia mtu, naomba tu amsaidie. Si lazima ugoje serikali sababu hata mimi si mwanasiasa, mimi tu ni mtu tu wa kawaida.
Jacqueline Mishare for Lunchtime News.
A point of correction, is not the president who will be addressing members of the press at Harambee House this afternoon, but we're expecting State House spokesperson to address members of the press ahead of the president's visit to the USA. In other news this afternoon, the need to educate the public on the threats of climate change, biodiversity loss, and social inequality took precedence during this year's International Museums Day celebrations at the National Museum of Kenya in Nairobi County. The event was characterized with educational exhibitions amid calls to protect the ecosystem to mitigate the effects of climate change threatening the country's flora and fauna.
The Kenya National Museum marked International Museums Day, celebrated every 18th day of May. Young ones gathered to mark this significant day, a day that provided an opportunity to witness what the Kenyan heritage has to offer.
The museum is anchored on 4 pillars: nature, culture, history, and the art. The reason why we chose art as a department, usually when we develop programs, one of the considerations we make is implementing programs around the exhibitions that we have. Director of Antiquities, Sites and Monuments at the National Museums of Kenya, Frederick Kimathi, noted that museums significantly educate the public on global challenges.
The NMK is involved in a lot of programs that talk about climate change, because we all know that climate change is with us. We can't run away from it. We've seen the floods that have happened in this country. We've seen the lake levels rising up to really, really high levels.
the National Museums of Kenya aims at contributing to the attainment of sustainable development goals by supporting climate action and fostering inclusivity in tackling social isolation.
Culture grows. In my paintings, there are people in ways that the present day people say is not proper. But tomorrow, those children who you saw in the class will have a different view. They might think we're also not proper, but at least they'll have an opportunity to preserve our presence as their grandchildren also preserve their presence.
This year's International Museums Day was marked under the theme Museums for Education and Research. International Museums Day serves to highlight the importance of museums as an essential venue for cultural exchange, fostering mutual understanding and promoting peace and cooperation for people. Reporting for KBC Channel 1, I'm Alvin Kaunda.
And we now cross over to Harambee House. State House spokesperson Hussein Mohamed is already addressing members of the press. Let's cross over and listen in.
Commercial gateway to Eastern Africa. The visit builds on existing partnership to highlight the following key thematic areas. 1, shared values including democratic governance. This includes people-to-people ties, health partnerships, as I said, and promotion of the creative economy. There will be several meetings towards that effect. 2, security cooperation for peace, security, and sustainable development. 3, trade and investment for shared prosperity, and there will be announcements to that effect as well. And digital technology cooperation, which of course delivers innovation, progress, and inclusion. Kenya and the US share a strong bond of friendship, evidenced by the exchange of high-level visits between the two countries. Since December 2022, Kenya and the US have enhanced bilateral and multilateral engagements through our participation in the US-Africa Summit, the third bilateral strategic dialogue in April 2023, the National Prayer Breakfast in February 2024, and roadshows in Chicago and New York, among others, late last year. Following the roadshows, there has been an increase in investments by US tech companies in Kenya, and we'll see more, of course, as we head to the state visit, or as the president heads to the state visit. This include the companies, that is Microsoft, Google, Cisco, IBM, Kiosk, and Sun Culture, among others. I'll now go to the itinerary. Starting tomorrow in Atlanta, Georgia, President Ruto's visit will commence there. He'll visit the Carter Presidential Library and Museum to emphasize the two countries' shared commitment to governance, democratic values, and anti-corruption efforts. His remarks there will underline the importance of democracies working collaboratively to tackle global challenges. The President will then visit Ebenezer Baptist Church to pay homage to the civil rights struggle and emphasize how religion can be a force for good. This visit will underscore the respect for historical struggles for equality and justice. The third area of engagement tomorrow, that is on Monday 20th, in Atlanta, Georgia, will focus on the US-Kenya Health Partnership at the Center for Disease Control, CDC headquarters. Among key announcements will include the new CDC-KEMRI partnership, and more details, of course, will be shared to that effect. The President and the First Lady will then be hosted by Kenya's strong diaspora in Atlanta, of course, with focus on the diaspora as a force multiplier in national transformation, as envisioned in the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. On Tuesday, still in Atlanta, Georgia, the President commences his second day at Spelman College, where he will discuss the critical role of higher education, particularly science and technology, in enhancing Kenya's human capital development, which is critical to attracting investment that solidify Kenya as an appealing destination for tech jobs for both present and future needs. At Tyler Perry Studios, which he will also visit, President Ruto will explore opportunities within the creative economy, highlighting it as a potential job creator and an area of robust partnership between Kenya and the United States. The President will then shift attention to trade and investment with a visit to Coca-Cola, where new investment partnerships will be announced. He will also then launch Vivo's inaugural store in America. It's a leading Kenyan retail fashion enterprise, showcasing the power of Kenyan women entrepreneurs. Mayor Andre Dickens of Atlanta and the Atlanta CEO's Council will then host the President, who will seek to position Kenya as an important regional manufacturing hub. After that, the President and the First Lady will travel to Washington, D.C. on Wednesday, May 22nd, arriving at Andrews Air Force Base, where they will be officially received with full ceremonial state honors. The President will have extensive engagements at the Hill, where he'll meet a bipartisan congressional delegation under the chairmanship of the Speaker of the House, meet with the Black Congressional Caucus, and hold discussions with the bipartisan caucus of the Senate, led by Senator Muchuma, who's the majority leader there, and Senator McConnell, minority leader. In his meetings at the Hill, the President will apprise the legislators on the challenges faced by democracies on the continent and the urgent need for America's tangible and practical engagement with the continent. He will brief the legislators on the dual crisis of climate change and conflicts in the region, and Kenya's leadership in dealing with these challenges. In urging Congress to be cognizant of the need for African goods to continue accessing the US markets on preferential basis, the President will implore Congress to extend the Africa Growth and Opportunities Act, better known as AGOA. On Thursday, which is the main day of the President's state visit to the United States, the President and the First Lady will lay a wreath at Arlington National Cemetery to honor the sacrifices of American soldiers as well as historic figures such as Thurgood Marshall and John F. Kennedy, who have had profound impacts on the history of Kenya. He will hold the main bilateral meetings with his host, President Biden, and delve deeper into Kenya-US economic, health, and security partnership, and discuss regional developments on the continent, highlighting the fragilities and opportunities on the continent. Multilateral issues will equally feature in the talks, including the Multilateral Development Bank's reforms and Security Council reform of the UN to enable the world cope with the evolving polycrisis of climate, debt, pandemics, and a multitude of security threats. The two leaders will then hold a joint press briefing at the White House after their bilateral talks. President Ruto will thereafter deliver a keynote speech on shared climate solutions at the Smithsonian, discussing global environmental challenges and collaborative efforts to address them. This is what he has been doing, of course, as you know, for the last one and a half years as a champion of climate change and the best way to mitigate climate change. So as a champion of climate action, of course, he's also still the chair of KAHOSK. The day concludes with a state dinner on Thursday at the White House, celebrating the enduring friendship between Kenya and the United States. Finally, on Friday, May 24th, the visit concludes with strategic engagements focusing on trade, investment, and digital cooperation. That includes a breakfast at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, where President Ruto will make the case for Kenya as a prime destination for U.S. investments. He'll also hold a digital roundtable discussion hosted by Vice President Kamala Harris, exploring the potential for expanding the U.S.-Kenya digital partnership. He'll also pay a visit to the Pentagon, where the President will highlight Kenya-U.S. defense partnership in the fight against terrorism, extremism, and other emerging areas, including cybersecurity. So that's a brief itinerary. Of course, there's a lot more, and they'll be announced during the visit, and I'm sure you'll be following. Let me now give some time to the Principal Secretary to say a few words.
Well, thank you very much, Hussein. I think that...
Hussein Mohammed, State House spokesperson, giving a brief. This as President William Ruto is expected to be in the United States of America for a couple of days. A visit that is expected to enhance the ties between Kenya and the United States. In other news, this afternoon, Engineer Joseph Mungai Kamau has been appointed as the new Chief Executive Officer of Athi Water Works Development Agency, Water Sanitation and Irrigation Cabinet Secretary Zakaria Njeru, while making the announcement, expressed confidence in the leadership of Kamau, terming him a visionary leader capable of driving transformative impact in the water sector. Kamau has been acting as the CEO since September 2023. Kamau holds a bachelor degree in civil engineering and master's degree in environment planning and management from the University of Nairobi and Kenyatta University, respectively. He brings on board over 27 years experience in the water and sanitation sector in Kenya. Residents of the Juja sub-county in Kiambu County affected by recent floods are struggling to send their children to schools after essential learning items such as books were washed away by water. The residents are now calling on the government to come to their aid and ensure their children return to school. This and more in our county news roundup.
A friend in need is a friend indeed. After weeks of untold suffering, these residents of Wetethia Juja sub-county are happy to have finally received some relief aid thanks to ZTech University.
Most importantly, we are giving people hope. We are telling them we are here, we care and we listen. And we are going to have so many of such interventions with many partners as possible to try and alleviate the suffering that our people are experiencing in this area.
Meanwhile, a family in Kasarani is appealing to the Interior Cabinet Secretary to save it from an alleged attempt to rid them of their land in Thome Estate.
Shamba tulinua 202, mzee alikufa 204, ndio anasema hao, lakini eti hatujui kweli. Tuko hatarini juu hao magunzi walikuwa wameleta, wanachukua picha mpaka mtoto wangu, sijui tuko hatarini.
In Mombasa County, Mikindani Comprehensive School in Bangladesh slum is grappling with significant challenges, a situation the school head teacher Penina Mudhuri says has left many learners badly exposed.
The primary section has got 1,400 pupils, and then the junior has 692, and that population is too high. We are lucky today. We have gotten some of the visitors from CFK who have come to visit us at the big, who have given us the pens today.
In the meantime, the Eastern Region Security Committee is warning the business community to stop engaging in the trade in second-generation alcohol.
Tumefika hatua tusirelax, tukazane, tuendelee na hiyo vita ili tuwezeshe vijana wetu wakuje wafanye productive work.
In Busia County, the woman representative has commended Kiharu MP Ndindi Nyoro for his useful understanding of the budget-making process.
Chairman, mimi nakupongeza sana kwa sababu mimi naona wewe unapenda wa Kenya kwa jumla. Uko Mandera na kuona Kisii na kuona kila mahali. Kwa hivyo hiyo ndio upendo tunahitaji Kenya. Tuunganisha wa Kenya pamoja, tupendane.
Na tunatengeneza bajeti ya trilioni 3.913. Na katika hiyo pesa, ile pahali tunapeleka pesa mingi ya serikali ni pahali ya elimu ya watoto wa Kenya.
Finally, Kericho County Senator Aaron Cheriot has decried the rising insecurity in the region and urged the Ministry of Interior to speed up the transfer of police officers who have worked for more than 3 years in one posting. Cheriot said the officers are suspected to be colluding with criminals in various parts of the county.
Inawezekanaje jioni ikifika kuna watu wanapatikana na nguo za polisi na wanatembea nazo huku hadharani, na wananchi wakiulizwa wanajua hao watu, na wanajua hii watu huwa wanazungumza na wengine wa officers ambao wako katika hizo police station.
A section of residents of Kugeria Estate in Kiambu County is living in fear of a cholera outbreak after sewer flowing out of a neighboring estate septic tank overflowed into their homes. The aggrieved residents say the National Environment Management Authority, Kiambu branch, is yet to take action despite them lodging a complaint 2 weeks ago.
We have tried to talk to the management of the estate, but they've not been very helpful. We also reported this to NEMA, and we are still waiting for some action to be taken based on what has been happening, that we are facing a big risk of waterborne diseases.
The whole farm is submerged with water. All the animals that were in the farm, we had to remove them. We had to sell them very, very, very fast.
Transit towns along the Nairobi-Nakuru highway are the hardest hit by cases of early marriages, teenage pregnancies and gender-based violence, GBV. According to the data from KNOT, a non-governmental organization, Mahimahu, Longonot, Naivasha and Kikopey towns were adversely affected due to the high number of truck drivers seeking services in the areas. To address the issue, the organization has partnered with the European Union to implement a program in the community to reduce the number of cases.
We identified areas around Maimahio because most of the time, because of the issues of trucking companies, truck drivers and things like that, areas around Longonot and areas within Gilgil and more so Kikopey.
We would say within Gilgil, in the past 6 months, we have had more than 150 cases that are reported in the children's office. And but the good thing with this is that all of them have actually been in the process of getting what we call justice systems.
Mtoto amenajisiwa ama ametiwa mimba na ni underage. We report the cases na tuache kusema hii mambo ya kuondoa aibu yenye wazazi wanasema tunaondoa aibu. Unakuta ya kwamba mzazi juu ya hiyo aibu amemwoza mtoto mapema.
In a bid to unite communities, church leaders have urged Kenyans to shun divisive politics. Speaking in Machakos County Catholic Diocese, Bishop Norman Kingo called for peace among political transformations in the region. His words were echoed by Machakos Deputy Governor Francis Mwangangi, who called on the national government to allocate funds for the county.
Ni maombi yetu na kuwaomba na hata nyinyi watu wa kawaida kuambia wanasiasa waende watuhudumie. Tulisikia nikizungumza juu ya ajira kwa vijana wetu, waanze kuangalia ni vipi tutafanya ili uchumi wetu uinuke, watoto wetu wajukuu waweze kupata kazi na nchi yetu iendelee.
Uongozi ule ulioko hapa unahitaji uendelee na ile speed ambaye mheshimiwa hapa alikuwa ameenda nayo. Ukiangalia maendeleo ilikuwa mingi. Ukiangalia karibu kila shule mheshimiwa aliyekuweko Dr. Munyaka alikuwa ameenguzia, kuna gari, kuna maendeleo inaendelea. Munyaka alikuwa ameleta karibu close to 10 roads salami.
Youth have been urged to explore opportunities for self-employment through sports as they consider careers to pursue. Mumias East Member of Parliament Peter Salasia says young people in the country must evaluate available income-generating activities to avoid being idle. He was speaking at Kakibei grounds in Kericho County after gracing the final of the Roro Super Cup football tournament. Blue Stars emerged the winners after trouncing Blazers AFC 2-0. 80 teams drawn from 4 wards in Sogwet Sub-County participated in the tournament. Nakuru Town East Member of Parliament David Gikaria, who also attended the event, noted the abundance of football talent in the region.
Nataka vijana tukue committed na mambo ya biashara, everyone. Na hii ndio naambianga my fellow youth katika constituency yangu, ya kwamba sitaki kuona the idleness katika my constituency. Nataka tukue na ratiba, tukue na time ya kupiga kazi, time ya sherehe na kubalance mambo ya maisha.
Nilipokuja hapa nilikuwa nafikiria Kericho inajulikana kama ni mahali ya wakale, si ndio? Wakale wanajulikana kwa nini? So nilikuwa nafikiria tu ni watu ndakuta wanapiga mpira mbaya wanakimbia, but I want to tell you I am shocked the level of talent ambayo iko hapa, the level of talent.
Thank you for keeping it KBC Channel 1 in sports. The Kenya Under-17 girls soccer team junior starlets will take on Ethiopia this afternoon in a crucial 2024 World Cup qualifiers third round second leg tie at the Ulinzi Sports Complex in Nairobi. Meanwhile, Cabinet Secretary for Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports, Babu Namwamba, visited junior starlets in camp at Kasarani Stadium, where he urged Kenyan fans to turn out in large numbers to cheer the youngsters who are on the verge of making history in the qualifiers.
Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba visited the junior starlets in camp at Kasarani Stadium as he sought to rally the players and coaching staff ahead of their return leg of the 2024 World Cup qualifiers against Ethiopia.
We come here just to tell you that we love you so much and that we are praying with you every minute of the way. And tomorrow, I am going to be leading our country, cheering you to the
CS Ababu encouraged the girls to go for nothing short of victory, urging Kenyans fans to turn out in large numbers to cheer the young stars. Following a hard-fought barren draw in the first leg held on May 10th, the Starlets are eager to capitalize on their home advantage and advance to the fourth and final round of the qualifiers. The winner of the tie will face Burundi for a place in the June 2024 Under-17 World Cup in the Dominican Republic. For Lunchtime News, I'm Sela Onyango.
Egyptian side Zamalek will face RS Berkane tonight at 8 p.m. in the second leg of the Confederation Cup final at Cairo Stadium, trailing 2-1 on aggregate. The match will be televised live on KBC Channel 1. Meanwhile, 11-time champions Al Ahly held host Esperance to a goalless draw in the first leg of the African Champions League final in Tunisia, with the return leg set to be played in Cairo next Saturday.
Al Ahly and Esperance had kept a combined 22 clean sheets en route to the final, and the defense line was on top at the packed Hamad Agrebi Stadium. The only target came in the final minutes when Esperance goalkeeper Amanala Mimechi pulled off a low save to deny Hussein El Shahat. Host Esperance continued to have a better chances in the first half in the Radis, with Roger Ahalu and captain Greg Chilali both sending efforts wide, while El Shahat fired off target for the visitors. The return leg will be in Cairo next Saturday, while Al Ahly has won 5 and drawn 6 of 11 previous Champions League matches against Esperance. Esperance is seeking their 5th continental title and previously beat the Egyptians in the 2018 final. Kingo Rimwangi for Lunchtime News.
Hillcrest International School emerged victorious in the first NCBA Inter-Schools Golf Tournament that attracted 21 schools at the Windsor Golf Club in Nairobi. The team of Jaban Kinywa, Sheha Makori, Aaron Varuna and Malaika Kasio posted 254 gross points, one better than favorites Rose Lane Academy and Peponi School, who tied for second in the boys and girls 11-14 years category. Sheha Makori was the star player with an impressive 78, with Malaika posting 84, Varuna 92 and Kinywa 122. Kenton College, led by Sophia Nesbitt, finished 4th with 259 points, while Braeside Lavington finished 5th with 275 points in the competitive category.
At first it started off a bit rocky, but as I continued going, things got way better and finally we won.
Last time we played, we didn't manage, but this time we all put in our effort, and one of us couldn't be here today, but we're happy.
The long-term development plan, which is exposing our children to the world, and for golf, this is exposing them to as many tournaments as they can.
Alexander Usyk defeated Tyson Fury on a split points decision to become the first 4-belt and disputed boxing heavyweight champion. Briton Fury began well on a legacy-defining night in Saudi Arabia, but was given a standing 10 count and saved by the bell after a Usyk onslaught in the 9th round. The scorecards read 115, 112 and 114, 113 for the Ukrainian, with a third judge scoring it 114, 113 to Fury. It was the first loss for the 35-year-old Fury in a 16-year professional career. Usyk takes the WBC belt from Fury to add to his WBA, WBO and IBF collection. The 37-year-old remains unbeaten and is the first boxer in almost 25 years to stand tall as the sport's sole heavyweight world champion.
Usyk got balance. I don't know if he slipped or buckled it.
Hit him on the temple. I just think he lost his footing there. Alexander Usyk.
There's another one of them.
PJ Washington scored 2 late free throws as the Dallas Mavericks beat Oklahoma City Thunder 117-116 in a thrilling game to reach the NBA Western Conference Finals. Dallas Mavericks will face defending NBA champions, the Denver Nuggets or the Minnesota Timberwolves, who meet in a Game 7 decided today in the Eastern Conference Finals.
To Jalen Williams. Joe puts it on the floor into the lane. Second straight start for Joe.
The Mavericks transformed a 75-58 deficit in the third quarter into a 115-10 lead with just over a minute remaining before the top-seeded Thunder scored 6 unanswered points.
Offensive rebound and the slam. Like PJ Washington, he was a February trade deadline.
Although Thunder collected the rebound, Jalen Williams' long-range effort was well off target as the Mavericks won the best-of-7 series 4-2.
Driving on Giddey, who's checked into the game, and Green hits the mid-range shot. Dallas back within 2.
Luka Doncic scored 29 points and made 10 rebounds and 10 assists for the Mavericks, who have reached the conference finals twice in 3 years. Dallas Mavericks will face defending NBA champions the Denver Nuggets or the Minnesota Timberwolves, who meet in a Game 7 decide on Sunday in the conference finals. The NBA Finals will start on 6th June.
His grill with 8 seconds to go. They double behind the back. Doncic to Hardy. Hangs.
Going through some of your comments on our social media platforms. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your feedback. For more details on ad items and many more, do log on to www.kbc.co.ke. My name is Irene Muchuma on Sign Language Interpretation. This afternoon, we have Byron Abule. Good afternoon and God bless you.